Almost.
We're live now.
Now we're live.
Yeah.
We are live, and you're not live here yet, but that takes a little bit of time. Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to a very special workshop. I'm not sure what happened there, why my computer is doing that.
That was weird.
That was very weird. I always have audio problems when we start these things, but I want to welcome you to a very special Workshop Wednesday. We are very glad to have you here. We have a very special guest with us. And if you notice, I also have a poll out there. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at the poll and answering it, we want to find out how many people have actually had a certified RV inspector look at their RV before they purchased it. And we're really most interested in your most recent purchase. So please let us know. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, when you come in, I want everybody to please give a very warm welcome to Debbie Bruening from Deb's RV Services. She has her own website, and I'm going to show you this right now. She has a YouTube channel, and we actually first found her on Liz Amazing. She did a video with her talking about RV inspections, and we know that from many of our videos, a lot of people have asked, hey, can you do a video on RV inspections, and what's that all about? Because I really don't know. We know that a lot of our viewers here are brand new to RVs and are looking to purchase an RV, so we thought, what better way than to have someone like Deb come on and join us. If you are interested in Deb's RV channel, let me share this with you real quickly. I'm going to show you her YouTube channel. Right here is Deb's RV Services. This is her channel right here. So please check her out, use her services, and I think you're going to really enjoy the segment that we have planned today. So Deb, without further ado, I want to welcome you. Oh, you are already on the stage. I already put you here. Look at that. Welcome to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. If you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone here. Oops, I'm pressing the wrong buttons here.
Are you there? I don't hear anything.
I'm going to add us to the stage.
Oh,
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you want me to just introduce myself and talk about my business? I didn't hear what you said, so.
Yes, Deb, I think we're getting a little bit of feedback on your end. When you're talking, you might want to turn your volume down just a tad. So yeah, what I'd like you to do is just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, and all about RV inspections.
Okay. Now, I want to make sure you can hear me okay. Is there any feedback, or is it okay?
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback. So I think you're going to have to mute yourself.
Okay. I can't hear you.
You have to turn down the volume on your side.
I can't hear you. When I go into settings,
just turn down the volume on your computer.
Oh, let me go into, hold on 1 second.
Sorry, everyone. Let's give us a minute. We're working out some technical issues here with the live stream. If you have headphones, that might be good. I don't know if you have a pair, but you can just turn the volume down.
Okay, I turned the volume down a little bit. Is that better?
Okay, just go ahead and talk, Deb.
Okay, I'm going to talk. So my name's Debbie, and I'm with Deb's RV Services, and I'm a certified RV inspector. I went to the NRVTA in Athens, Texas. It was probably like the end of 2021 is when I went. And I started doing inspections in Michigan right away. As soon as I got out of school,
Oh, we're
I
just
started getting phone calls, and I was swamped. So I really grew my sea legs right out of school. And then the following year, I went back and I did some tech courses. And I went back to Athens, Texas. It was in 2022, and I did the refrigerators course. I did the furnaces and hot water heater and exteriors. So I almost got my certification to become an RV tech, certified tech. But I still have my air conditioner class to finish up to do that. So basically, I have been doing inspections for the last several years, and business has been growing by leaps and bounds because people have been learning about certified inspections and the importance of them. And it's really, really important to get them. There is so much that I find, even on brand new RVs, that I definitely recommend that people get inspections before they purchase. How is that? Can you hear me? Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. I think the problem might have been on our end, apparently.
Okay.
Some folks are saying that we're distorted.
Okay.
So Deb, so you talked a little bit about what a certified inspector is. There's some people who feel that inspections may not be worth the money. Can you explain to people why getting an inspection is so important?
Yes. So getting an inspection, it is a little costly, but if I can explain a little bit, I will tell you why it is costly. When we go out and do an inspection, we are not just using a simple checklist and going through the RV and taking a brief look for 1 to 2 hours. My inspections take 6 to 8 hours, and it's because to have a certified inspection, we are held by these standards where we have to look at every nook and cranny. So not only are we looking at the roof, we're looking at every aspect of the roof. We're looking underneath and we're looking at the chassis component. We're making sure that there's no leaks or anything underneath. We're checking out the tires. We're making sure that the PSI, which is the pressure of the tires, is correct. We are doing a hot skin test, which is to make sure that there's not some kind of short or excess voltage on the RV. And that can happen. We're doing a propane leak test, and I have seen many, many RVs that have propane leaks and people were completely unaware. I'm going through all the life safety items and I'm making sure that all the detectors, I actually have to unscrew the detector, look at the back, and look at the date and make sure that it's within the range of being acceptable, which is usually about 5 years. And so we're going through all the exterior. I'm looking for delamination. I'm looking for any signs of water intrusion. I have to run every single slide in and out. I have to run every awning in and out. I'm looking at every mechanism and I'm recording it. I'm taking like 500 photos while I'm doing the inspection and videos. So every piece of that RV is being looked at, and it takes hours. When I get on the inside, so if I look on a roof and I see little bubbles or points of possible water entry, I then have to play detective and go on the inside and look and see if there is anything there that looks like water may have gotten in. It could be simple stains. It could be rot. It could be very apparent that there was water damage, but sometimes it's sneaky. And you can't always tell. And you might see a little bit of a stain or just the beginning stages of water intrusion. And what happens, and I've heard this happen with, I had a client one time that reached out to me a year after the inspection. And we only saw water stains underneath the slide at the time. I saw no evidence of actual rot. A year later, he said that the slide had rotted out. So The thing about water intrusion is it breaks down the RV over time. So what can look like water stains at one point can spread and become a bigger issue and rot. So the cost of an inspection ranges somewhere between, I'm just going to say $600 to $1,500 for a premier inspection. The tiniest travel trailer is going to be somewhere in the $600 range. And then you go all the way up to motorhome, and some, like the one I'm inspecting tomorrow, it's 47 feet long. It's got a tag axle, which means 3 axles. It's humongous. And it's a very costly inspection because I'm going to be on site for probably 8 hours. Then when I come home, I have to turn around and take all that information and download it into a report. And the report can sometimes take me 3 to 4 hours. And, you know, I could try to shorten that time, but when I am there doing the inspection, I have this companion device, which is a phone. And to spend all that time writing, I write the model number and serial number of a lot of the components in the RV, like the refrigerator, and I have to put down the brand of air conditioner. And speaking of air conditioner, we do a Delta T, which tells you if it's efficient or not. So all that stuff takes time. And when you're sitting there doing that report, you really have to do a lot online. And then we're also looking to make sure that there's not anything else about the RV, like recalls on refrigerators, that we have to also include in the report. So it's definitely a time-consuming thing when you do a premier inspection, and that's why the cost seems so high. But I'll tell you what, it may have been $1,000 inspection, but I saved my client about $10,000 in repairs when it comes down to finding out what I found during that inspection.
So, Deb, I seem to have a slight delay. Can you hear me okay? Do we get all of our problems fixed?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a slight delay between us even, which is a little bit unusual. Usually when we do a live stream, everything's in sync. So I'm not quite sure why things are off. I'll have to ask StreamYard about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question. We have some questions in the chat for you. Do you check the wiring system and the auxiliary starter solenoid?
So the auxiliary starter solenoid, no, I don't. Is that a chassis thing? Because that's not something that's familiar to me. So if it has to do with chassis, I don't know anything. I would say you need to have a chassis expert. The only thing that I do in regards to chassis is I check the fluids. I start the engine. I check all of the, like for instance, the wiper blades, the shades. I check all the things that were the buttons where you can use on it at the chassis part, but I'm not actually looking at chassis components in the engine. But the other question was, yes, I do look at wiring. So if they're like, I open up where the circuit panel is, and I actually unscrew that whole area, and I'm looking at the wires to make sure that there's not any discoloration from heat, that all the wires look intact. So that's as far as I go with looking at wires.
So another question for you. Do you check like we've heard about like where you can have fluids checked as a part of an RV inspection, like the oil and other fluids for metals and things like that. Is that something that you do? And is that something that you recommend?
So fluid analysis is interesting. I started out advertising fluid analysis, and I used to really recommend that people get them. What I found was I will do a fluid analysis if it's requested. I have the kits. I know how to pull the fluids. The problem with it is that you can't get them back in time. It takes about a week. By the time I mail, even if I express mail, everything out, which is costly. So now I was charging about $100 a fluid, which is a lot of money, but it costs money to get the kit. Then it's costing about $30 to overnight the fluids to get to the lab. And I can't really explain to my client what the lab found by the time they get it back to me and I forward that email to the client. If they have questions about what does all this mean, I can't even answer it for them because I am not an analyst of fluids. It will just give it a rating 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if it's a level 4, it's like you definitely need these fluids changed. They have a lot of debris in it or metals and different things in it. Water could be in it. But I can't really explain anything. So I really don't advertise the fluids like I used to, but if it's requested, I will do them. But what I do look at when I'm doing an inspection is I will pull the transmission and I will pull the engine oil fluid, and I will look at them and I take pictures of them so I can show my client in the report. And I can note if it looks discolored, if it doesn't look normal. So that's as far as I go with fluids.
So what are some things that you might warn somebody against? Like at what point, like when you do an inspection, like we had an inspection done on our RV, and we probably had about a 25, 30-page report.
Yeah.
At what point do you say maybe you should walk away from this RV?
Okay, I'm not allowed to influence my client to buy or not buy an RV, but everyone asks me, would you buy this RV? So I try to tell them without telling them. Now, there are times that I have walked in on an inspection and right away I saw delamination on a sidewall or I saw rot somewhere. I will call my client and I will say, listen, this is what I found. Would you like me to continue with this inspection? I do have a policy that if they want me to stop an inspection, I will give them a refund of a portion of the inspection. There is still going to be the charge of me prepping and going out there and the time that I spent, but I have actually given people a refund, but I've also given people the opportunity to just rebook with me, and I could hold on to that portion of what they've already paid me and put it towards the next inspection. So those are kind of the areas where I will stop something and say this thing is really bad. But after an inspection, if there's a lot of things, I will tell them, listen, I can't influence you on whether you should buy or not buy it, but I am going to tell you that the cost of repairs that you're looking at is significant. And I would really take a look at how much that's going to cost you. And I will also let them know if they are like life safety things, or if they're things that are going to take a lot of their time to get repaired. And so I can't really tell them not to purchase it, but I do give them a strong advice on what it will cost, how long it will take, and kind of, just not my opinion, but kind of my opinion. Like I try not to give them my opinion, but I do let them know strongly that this is a lot. Oh, I see a question.
Can you see the questions as they're posted?
Now I can. I couldn't before, but now I just saw a question.
So the next question is, what is the thing you find most that is not correct?
What I find most is roof sealant. I would say mostly people are not keeping up with their maintenance on their roof. And I find a lot of holes and cracks in the sealant, which can lead to water intrusion. So that's probably the thing that I find the most whenever I'm inspecting an RV.
The next question is, do you check plumbing connections during your inspections?
Yes. So what I do with plumbing is I will run the water in the sink of the kitchen, in the sink of the bathroom. I also look behind the toilet, and I run them for a length of time, and then I check the connections to make sure that I don't see any leaking. And I don't actually touch the connections to see if they're tight, because I'm actually checking to see if they're leaking, and then it will tell me if they're tight or not. So I check the connections that way. I check everything to make sure that I find no leaks. And then I even go to the cargo bay after I've done my whole inspection. And if I can get access to any of those plumbing connections, I will look and see if there's any leaking going on there as well.
And then the next question is, are truck campers built better, being that they are so labor intensive to build?
I don't know. I've inspected quite a few truck campers, and it was fine. I can't really say if it's better though. I really can't say that. I don't know if they're better or worse.
So Debbie, if you could pick your ideal RV, like if you could make a recommendation on what kind of an RV or what brand someone should buy, I guess the brand that has had the least amount of problems, what would you say?
Oh boy. Lately it's been the Brinkley. It was as far as a new RV, I've seen a lot of nice Brinkleys when I've gone to inspect them. There's only been like a couple little tiny things that I would find wrong with them. It's so hard because if it's a used RV, it really depends on how the prior owner took care of it. I have seen really awesome, like I inspect a lot of really big, like Newmars, expensive, coaches. And I've seen them like very nice as they've aged if the prior owner took care of them. But then I've also inspected really nice coaches that are aged where the owner did not take care of them and they had a lot wrong with it. So new RVs right out of the gate, lately it's been the Brinkley, and that is a fifth wheel, and they're very nice. They're well built. Of course, I am a fan of Lazy Days. That's what I have. As far as an aged motorhome, they're built really well. And I really think that in a lot of cases, you're going to find better RVs if you go with an independent, smaller company. If you're looking for travel trailers, a smaller like travel trailer like the Oliver, Bigfoot had some travel trailers and they are older. I've inspected a lot of those and they looked really good. They're more independent, more small, like smaller companies. They seem to have better quality RVs than a lot of the companies coming out of Indiana that are cookie cutter, and they just build them really fast and just to get them out. And I find a lot wrong with inspections, brand new inspections with those kind of RVs. I can't hear you.
I just failed the folks, I am a system engineer. I should be able to handle a live stream. I do not know what's going on here tonight, but I just seem to be totally, totally challenged. I'm so glad I have you. So I'm just going to say that I totally agree with you that some of those independent companies like, Oliver, Scamp, Lazy Days, like you said, those are really good quality RVs. I'm going to read some of the comments up here from Z. We've got amen to that, Deb. from Casual RVer, who also has a YouTube channel and does a lot of really good fix-it kind of demonstrations too of how things work in the RV. He says Debbie is 100% correct with the oil sampling. Turnaround time can be at least 1 week, and you really need to have a good understanding of how to read and complete the analysis. So good point. So T-Flex Champ is asking, how much do you charge to do an inspection?
It really depends. What kind of RV is it? I have one I'm doing tomorrow that is a Newmar, and it's 10 years old, and it's $1,400. And that's what I'm charging to go out there and do the inspection. It's a premier inspection. A lot of it depends on how far am I traveling? What is the age of the RV? How big is the RV? Does it have a tag axle? How many slides does it have? How many air conditioners does it have? Prices range all over the place, and also depending on where you're at, if there's a lot of inspectors, sometimes there's inspectors and there's an area that maybe you can't charge as much, and then there's other areas where you can charge more. I always give people a second choice. I learned that there are some people that don't necessarily need to know every model and serial number on the RV, or they don't want me to have to take the 500 photos and give them an 80-page report. They just want me to do an overall check. So I do offer a checklist inspection for people that takes off a significant amount to compensate for me not having to do the report. But I also let them know it is not a certified NRVIA inspection then. And I have them sign something because they need to realize that it doesn't go according to the standards that I was taught in school on everything that you need to inspect. That certified inspection from the NRVIA, we must have all this information. If they just want me to go look at the roof and make sure that everything's working and check for delamination, and I can give them a price for that, but that is not an NRVIA inspection. So as long as there are other price points, and every inspector does things differently. I choose to do that for my clients, but some people, they will not do anything but a premier inspection. So it just depends on the inspector. So I could read your lips right now, but I can't hear you.
So I'm muted again, of course. Zia's asking where you located.
Okay. Oh. So right now,
and we have a slight delay, so I'm trying to ask you a question before you answer the other question, just by watching your facial expressions and seeing when you're done. It's crazy. But Zia's asking, where are you located?
Okay, so I am located right now in Colorado. I'm servicing the Denver and Colorado Springs area. I go back to Arizona. That's where I spend my winter. So I will be heading back to Arizona sometime around end of September, maybe the beginning of October. But I'm going to Utah at the end of this month. So I'm kind of all over the place, but just out west. I'm doing Colorado, Utah, and Arizona. But what I do is I always put my location on my website. So if you go to my website and you go to the contact page area down at the bottom, it will give you my current location. So if anybody wants to try to find me, that they can look at the website and find out.
You're traveling to some of my favorite places. I loved Utah, Colorado. That area is just so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you mentioned this earlier when we were having some of our RDO challenges, but what are some of the requirements to become a certified RV inspector, and what's the difference between getting an RV inspector who's certified and one that isn't?
So we go to a training at the school in Athens, Texas, and we go through about 3 weeks of training. It's very intensive because they're 10-hour days, and we have to go through a fundamentals course, then we have to pass an exam. And then we go through another 2 weeks, and we have to learn all about how to do the inspections. And what we're doing is we're learning how to do inspections according to the standard of the NRVIA. And so they have a rigid set of standards. And some of these other companies that are out there, there are other companies that other people that do inspections that aren't certified. They're not nearly as detailed or as trained as we are through the NRVIA. And so they're going to give you a really brief checklist, and it's going to be, maybe they might spend 2 hours there, and it's just going to be a very quick overview, and the cost is a lot less, but you're also not getting that quality. So having a certified inspector is really key. So when you're looking for one, you want to make sure that they're certified, and preferably through the NRVIA.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Z is asking if you ever come east.
Yes, I'm actually from Michigan. So this year, normally every year I go back to Michigan in the summer. I like to see my son and my family. This year I decided I wanted to travel a little bit more. I really love the West, and so I decided to stay out here. But next year I will be coming back east. I have friends, I have family in Florida. I have friends in Georgia that want me to come. I do go east, and next year I probably will definitely go back to Michigan, and then I might head down. I'm not sure though. You never know what I'm going to do. I've changed my mind.
So Deb, do you ever come to any of the RV shows, like the Hershey RV show or the Tampa RV show?
I want to. That's one of the things I want to do. I'm missing out on these RV shows because I'm not going out there. I have attended some other RV shows, and while I was in Arizona, we did. It was actually, what was it? It wasn't an RV show, but it was a conference for RVers, and we set up a booth there, and we talked about inspections, and then we had a bunch of techs on site that did some work for people. But I would like to come to the Florida RV show, and I would like to go to the Hershey RV show. It's a goal.
Well, I hope you make it there because we'd love to see you at one of the shows. Do you, I guess, I don't know, have we asked you already what was the worst RV that you've ever inspected?
The worst RV, oh, I have a video on it actually. I'd never seen anything like it, but this lady contacted me, her and her husband. They wanted to just get an RV that they could travel out east. So they wanted to go visit their family. I believe they were heading to Tennessee. And they just wanted something that would accommodate all of them. And she had noticed there was this RV a couple blocks from where she lived, and it was just sitting in the driveway. It was an older model, but she didn't look at the inside or anything. She just thought she'd contact me and have me inspect it, and she wanted to buy it. And she was pretty sure that she was going to buy it. It was not that much money, but she said, I can fix the little things that are wrong with it. So if you could come out and just do a little brief inspection. So she didn't want the premiere. She just wanted me to do a quick overview. So I agreed to do it. I went out there and I walked around the RV, and I decided to go look at the roof first, which is something that I really, the roof is very important. I got up there and it looked like the thing had been through, either found at the bottom of the Titanic or been through a fire or something. I don't know. It was completely, it was so bad. It looked like there was blackened parts on the top, and that you could almost put your hand right through the roof. It was so bad. Then when I went on the inside of it and I looked, the whole thing was rot. Just the walls were rotted. Everywhere was rot and water damage. And at that point, now because she didn't get a certified premier inspection, I could actually just talk to her. Like I didn't have to worry about staying within the frame of not giving her advice on whether she should or should not get the RV. So at that point I said, listen, it is actually a life safety issue for you to drive this RV across the country. And so she ended up not buying it. That I don't think I'd ever seen anything quite that bad. So that was probably the worst.
So Deb, how do you find a certified inspector in your area? What's the best way to research and find an inspector to take a look at your RV?
So the best way is to go to the website of nrvia.org. There's a locator, and you can find certified inspectors in the area of the RV. And then what I would do is I would look at the list of inspectors, They should have a profile picture. They should have a website, and hopefully they have some Google reviews. We have a lot of new inspectors out there, and there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes the new inspectors are just getting their feet wet in the area. So you might want to just check and see how many inspections they've done so far, look at their reviews, and talk to them on the phone and just kind of get an idea of who they are and what they're all about, and then go with your gut on which one you should, you want to hire. I can't hear you.
Of course you can't. We got a comment here saying, we love you too, USMC, yes. So my husband's a Marine, and I was just going, hoorah. No, I can't.
Great.
75?
Okay.
I'm a spouse. I should be entitled. It doesn't matter if I was Navy,
Okay. We'll go with that.
Does it matter if you buy a new RV? Like, should I get a new RV inspected? Does it matter if I buy a new RV or an old RV? Should I just trust that the manufacturer has done a great job and just buy my RV and ride off into the sunset?
That's a really funny joke. Yeah, the new RVs are, oh my gosh. I find missing bolts in new RVs right out of the gate, wires dangling where you have the emergency brake system, for your RV. I find so many things with brand new RVs. Leaks right out of the gate where you could take that thing off the lot and then you wouldn't be able to get it back in the shop for months. And they keep it for I don't even know how long. They keep it until the following year. Who knows? But yeah, new RVs definitely need an inspection just as much as the used RVs.
And what are your thoughts on, a lot of dealerships, they charge you a little bit extra and they do something called a PDI. What are your thoughts on the PDI and how efficient that is?
It's not efficient at all, but I actually require that they do a PDI before I come, because this is what they're doing lately in the dealerships. Since inspectors have become more popular, they've decided that they're not going to do their PDI at all. They're going to let the inspector find everything. The problem with that is I will show up and I will have a battery that's either missing or dead. I have shown up and seen water heaters that don't even have the anode rod in it, or parts that are on order and they haven't even touched the RV, or I can't get anything to work in the RV. So it has become a bigger and bigger issue as I work with clients and I go to dealerships. So now I'm telling my clients to make sure that they do their PDI just so I can know that I have at least a working battery and I can start the engine, or I can run out the slides, making sure that there is propane in the tank, there's water in the tank, because it's gotten really bad in this last year with them not even touching the RV. And then I end up calling my client and saying, well, I couldn't test this because the generator didn't work. I couldn't test this because there was no working battery. So it ends up they're getting a report with a lot of missing inspection items on there because the dealership didn't even do the PDI at all.
So I will always admit when I'm wrong, and I've always felt like sometimes the dealerships want to charge you for that PDI, but I kind of feel like that PDI should be included as a part of you buying your RV. So what recommendations or suggestions would you give to someone who's buying an RV and the dealership's like, you can have a PDI, but you have to pay for it?
So they're doing a lot of sneaky things. Right now they have, not only have they wanted to charge them for a PDI, but they're wanting to charge them to have a third-party inspector come on the lot. And they're saying, well, we are going to charge you for the hourly rate of a tech to follow the inspector. And then you're going to have to pay that. Well, listen, it is up to the client to stand up for themselves and walk away from that deal, because you will win in the end if you stand up and walk away and say, nope, I will go somewhere else, because they're just trying these tactics, and it's a dirty game, but it's not working everywhere, but they try these things. You just have to say no.
So you should not be afraid to walk away from a deal.
Correct.
Oh, and I do say that in a lot of our videos. Just sometimes you have to walk away. You can find that RV someplace else in a dealership who's going to have better practices, because if they're going to pull stunts like that, then it's not worth it, right? It's just don't go. That's not a good dealership. That's not a dealership that you want to build a relationship with over time. So what advice would you give to someone who's just buying an RV for the very first time, and they're trying to, they've already done all their homework and they know how they want to camp, they know basically the size of the RV, they've looked at the cargo carrying capacity, and now they're just kind of looking at like fit and finish. They're trying to decide whether or not what they're looking at is a good quality RV. What advice would you give?
If you really want a good quality RV, again, I would really look at the manufacturer. I would try to make sure they weren't bought out by a bigger company and they're just a cookie cutter place, like a lot of them in Indiana are. And I mean, I know Brinkley's are in Indiana. They're a newer company, and they're doing very good quality work. Their customer service is well. You can join Facebook groups if you have a particular RV that you're looking at and you want to know more about it. You can go to Facebook and you could join the groups and you could see what some of the complaints are. You can look at their brochures and see what they're made of. That's what I do when I'm doing a inspection, and I'm doing kind of my homework before I go look at the RV. I will pull the brochure off of the web and I kind of look through it to see what they're made of and what their components are. And so that can give you an idea of how quality the RV is. And again, you kind of get what you pay for too. So the more quality of the RV, the more expensive it is going to be. So look at your big name brands, and like even the Lazy Days that I have, it was such a quality RV, and they stopped making them in 2022, but you are going to pay a good amount of money to get a brand new Lazy Days. They're not made quickly. It takes time. There's a 2-year wait list because they take their time and they care about their product. So you really want to look at those kind of things when you're trying to pick out an RV.
That's some really excellent advice. That's really good. And I just want to go back to what you were saying about the dealerships not doing their PDIs anymore. And I was kind of share our story with you. John and I had bought a diesel pusher at one of the RV shows. I think it was the Hershey RV show we actually bought it at. And when the RV came into the dealership, they called us and said, okay, it's ready for you to come take a look at it. And I said, well, no, it's here and it's ready.
Right.
And, of course, my plan was to get an RV inspection, but I also wanted to go and take a look at it myself before paying for an RV inspector to come look at it. And when we went there, we were surprised at the horrible condition this RV was in. There was rust all in the cargo bay. There was exposed electrical wires in the bathroom. There was broken pieces of floor, and I mean, it was just. And the door. What are those things called, John? The things that kept the doors hanging on, the hinges or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, at the top of the door, it slid on a rail up there, and it was coming out of the door. The fixture was coming out of the wood in the door. It
was just in terrible shape, and I was really glad that, and I would recommend this for anybody who buys an RV. I was glad that I went to look at it before I paid, $1,500 or whatever it was going to cost to have an inspector travel, because we don't have inspectors in our area, so we have to pay for mileage too, right? To have somebody come and look at it and then charge us all this money for something that was just probably going to have a ton of problems, and we probably wouldn't be able to purchase anyway. So you give great advice. So I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that that is really a good idea too. If you can go out and like what I do on my YouTube channel is I try to give people ideas of what they can go look at. If they want to go out and do like a mini inspection themselves and look at certain things on the RV to gauge whether they want to hire an inspector, because you can tell if you can get on that roof and you can take a quick look. If you can go on the inside and just open up cargo areas and look, like you were saying, you see rust on things, you see wires hanging, you see a door that's not, intact properly. You already know some of the things that are wrong with it. And then you can make a decision if you want to go forward and then have the RV inspector come out there and look at everything else.
Yep. And Deb, I would even say, like, and I know that you can't say this, but we say this all the time, just because we learned from our experiences with our RV it's taken us 3.5 years to get things fixed. And we still have little things, but it took us a long time, and we had leaks, we had just all kinds of various electrical problems with it. But the one thing that happened during our inspection is that we had a lot of things wrong during our inspection. And I think if we had been, and we were newbies, if we had been a little bit more knowledgeable, things like the rear cap installed incorrectly. I mean, I think with the number of things, I probably should have just walked away from that RV rather than saying, oh, this is just a normal thing. This is an RV, not knowing anything and falling in love with it and wanting to get out and traveling because COVID was still in full force.
That was the thing.
But I think that if you see an RV and you have an inspection, and I know you've paid a lot of money for it and you may have fallen in love with this RV, I think that that's another situation where you just have to be willing to walk away from that RV. And I know that you can't necessarily say that to somebody, but I'm going to say walk away. If there's a long, long list of things, an inspector is not going to catch, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you're not going to catch everything, because sometimes you can't find out about things until you've actually taken that RV out on the road and used it.
Correct. And that's a huge point that I want to make, is that these RVs are sitting on a lot. And however long it's been sitting there, exposed to the elements, it could be rain, snow, ice, whatever. By the time we go in and do the inspection, if we've already found holes in the ceiling on the roof, I can't look inside the walls. I can't look inside of these areas to know if there is already rot or damage that is going to start. And then a year down the road, you're going to find out that you have delamination is going to start appearing on your sidewalls because it was able to enter through those holes in the sealant on the roof. So definitely want to take a look at all that. You want to think about those things when the inspector, if the inspector finds a lot of things wrong right out of the gate, you've got to think, add all that together and make a decision, because you can go and find something different. You don't feel like you have to rush the process. And yes, you may have spent the money on an inspector, but you're better off in the long run, because RVs are, I mean, listen, even if it's perfect, you're gonna drive down the road and then something's gonna fall off. There's always something that happens with an RV.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the roads. I mean, I loved Colorado; it was beautiful, but the roads there tore our RV apart. There's always going to be something that falls apart. But it shouldn't be something that falls apart from the factory, right? That's something different.
I know.
Gonzo Book, hi guys. So nice of you to join us. Drummer Breeze says. Yeah, and you can see, okay. Yep, you did their inspection a few months ago, and she was great. So, and folks, like I've been saying, I don't just bring anybody on to our channel. I only bring people that I've watched and I've observed and I've seen what they've done, and I've been really, really impressed what I've seen on Deb's channel, and that's why I invited her to come and to spend the hour with us, kind of just talking about RV inspections. Gonzo Book, thank you so much. Yeah. Gonzo Book, $2 super chat. We really, really appreciate that. It helps to support our channel.
Look at that.
She's checked everything and provided a very detailed report. So I'm going to ask you, I know we're getting close to the 1 hour mark. What are some of the things that you actually put into your report, and how are your reports organized?
The report is organized with, at first it starts out with, it gives like it'll have their symbols. Like if it's life safety, it has like a life safety symbol. So it's going to show you the life safety items and then major and minor expenses and then noteworthy comments. After all of that, then it goes into showing each picture and giving you more of the detail on each item. So the report is pretty long, it's pretty extensive that way. Like I said, I put about 100 and well, it's somewhere between 100 and 150 photos in my report now. And so there's a lot to look at. Even if it doesn't have a lot wrong with it, I like to get, especially for people that are out of state, I like to give them more pictures so they can see every aspect of it. So yeah, it's got a lot of information in there and a whole summary of stuff.
That's great. Are there any more last chance questions from the audience? Anything you want to know about RV inspections, or anything you want to know about Deb and the services she provides? Do you do something else besides inspections? Do you do any kind of do you do like repair services too, or are you just mainly inspections?
I mainly inspections, and I started my YouTube channel so that I could add that in, and then I am going to go, like I have some liquor training coming up this week in Denver, and I am going to add in doing a little bit more tech work because I'm going to stick to doing furnaces, water heaters, and refrigerators. Those are the things that I kind of want to stay doing. I don't really want to get into the bigger items like awnings and slides because sometimes it takes two people. But I am going to finish out my certification and go back to Athens and do my air conditioner class so that I can help with air conditioners too. So.
Okay, that's great. We took a poll, and I find these results quite interesting. And, I'd love to hear from the people who did not get the RV inspection, how things ended up with their RV. But we put out a poll at the beginning of the stream, and we asked, did you have a certified RV inspection when you purchased your most recent RV? 22% of our viewers said yes, they did have an inspection. 61% said they don't own an RV yet, so they haven't done that, so they're probably here to learn about RV inspections. But 17% said they did not have an inspection. Which really I hope that this session changes your mind for your next RV. But if you did not have an inspection, yeah, if you didn't have an inspection, I would love for you to put in the comments like how that turned out for you, because that's living life on the edge, if you ask me.
Hey.
Unless you're good at, you already know a lot about RVs and you know how to pretty much go through the inspection yourself and do it yourself.
Or fix everything yourself.
Yeah. Very good, John. That's very, very true. Deb, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I am really sorry about all of the audio problems that we had. Once again, as it always is, it was my fault. And I realized it about halfway through the stream what I needed to change in order to get this to work. But for those of you who stuck around, I really appreciate it. This is one of our Workshop Wednesdays. We plan to have plenty of these coming up in the future. We're going to be covering finance in the next workshop. Folks, please go and check out Debbie's channel. I put it in the chat. I'm going to put it again so that it's right there where you can see it. Please go ahead and give this live stream, if you've learned something, a thumbs up. And please hop on over to Deb's channel, and you can learn so much from how she does her inspections. And if you're looking to buy an RV, please just go and, if you need an inspection, reach out to her on her channel. Oh, and we just heard from someone who did not get it, an inspection, and they said theirs was, that's the Gonzo book, and they have a channel and they do a lot of stuff themselves. He's very handy, so I guess he's like one of those people who probably could fix most of those things himself, but his was perfect, so I guess GeoPro is a good brand. I don't know. I've never had one, but it worked well for him. So thank you so much, Deb. I really appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on our channel, and hopefully you'll come back and visit again when I know how to actually operate a live stream.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being on here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. We appreciate all of you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.